I'm Neil White. I'm the live keyboardist and guitarist for Chaos and Terror.
And this is an exclusive interview with COMA Music Magazine.
Worldwide totalitarian control was based on the idea of exploring the emotions and reactions in the U.S. after the 9/11 attacks. This being the 9-year anniversary, what do you feel has changed, if anything?
Not much. It's a lot harder to get things done in this country. Airports are much more fun to travel through. We're still at war. We're still doing a lot. So I mean, you'd think a lot more would have changed in 9 years, but I guess not.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like much has changed with attitudes either.
No, not really. Just watch the news these days.
Now, we haven't heard much in the way of politics in your music as of late. Is that simply because you're using less samples, or are you more pleased with the current political climate?
I just got tired of doing it. I'm not necessarily more pleased. It just, I did a couple albums and EPs that way, and I just want to try something a little bit more personal. So it's not that I'm like happy now and unhappy about the way it used to be. It's still, the same feelings are still there, but I just don't put it into music now.
You said that the name change was the end of an era for Cat. How so?
Kind of just a new feel for the band. I got really used to releasing things with the Slashes and not really having much of a, I guess, not necessarily image, but the band, it never really stood for anything. And I felt as the music got more personal and less either political or just dance club music, I wanted to kind of change it a bit. So that's where I came up with the Chaos and Terror name. And that's where I kind of, well, if nothing's come out yet, because I'm still writing, but that's where the sound shift is going to come into play all at once, probably next year or so.
It'll be easier to find to purchase.
Yeah,
as well.
that's another big thing. I mean, even if you want to try and illegally download my shit, it's hard to find without the Slashes.
Right.
The Slashes stuff.
Yeah. Now, back when you started with Cat, with the Slashes, did it actually stand for anything back then, or
At the
was
time,
it Chaos and Terror? Or?
No, not back then. Back then, it was, the way it started was I did a track, I had another band at the time, and I did a track under my new band name, which was unknown at the time, and they wanted to release it on a compilation, and so I had to call the band something. So I came up with Cat, 3 initials, and just for aesthetic purposes put the Slashes in. And never thought in 98 or whenever that was, that in 2007 it would make it impossible to find my band on the internet. No one really downloaded music back then because it was, dial-up.
Too slow, yeah.
So.
Now, your first release is Chaos and Terror, They Eat Their Own, is projected to come out sometime next year. What's the current status of it?
Well, this is kind of exclusive because that changed, and I'm actually working on a final album I'm going to do under the name Cat with the Slashes that I just started about a month ago. This is like, I've kind of kept a secret, and They Eat Their Own will probably be on that. It's not going to be an album called that anymore. But, the first thing under Chaos and Terror, probably I'm going to push it maybe to 2012.
Okay.
Just to completely reboot the band and the sound.
You stated that you'll be going with a much more rough sound on the new album. Can you give us any insight on that?
Where did I say that? Because I'm trying to think of what the context of that was. Do you remember what the context is?
I don't.
When you saying it rough? Well, because I mean, the one that I'm just talking about, the Cat album that I'm doing, I guess is kind of rough, like as far as noisy and angry. And that might have been what I meant when I said that. The first Chaos and Terror album is not going to really be, it's going to be totally different, and I think the rough sound is basically, not necessarily like I'm going back to my older like power noise stuff, but heavier.
The title, They Eat Their Own, seems to me like it might be a comment on the scene as a whole.
Yeah,
is that
actually, yeah, it is. And,
okay?
The entire album is going to kind of be about stuff I've been through, I've seen friends go through, and some of the negative aspects that I've dealt with, because I've been doing this for like 10, almost 12 years now, so I've seen a lot.
You stated on the They Eat Their Own blog that you're shopping around for a label to release the album. How difficult was making that decision?
Well, I'm going to self-release the Cat album. It's not going to be on CrunchPod. I'm going to give it away. It's going to be a free album. That's that. The next one, the Chaos and Terror album, I'm going to shop. And as far as difficult, not really that difficult. I kind of wanted to try my luck at that, because I've
Sure.
never really shopped the project ever. And since it'll be a new sound, it might, work with different labels than I've been associated with in the past. Because I've had tracks released here and there on other industrial labels, but it wasn't really difficult. I'd rather do that. If no one really picks it up, then I'll just self-release.
Right. Yeah, because you've been self-releasing the Cat albums for the last couple, haven't you? Not really releasing them on CrunchPod, if I remember right.
The Mega Mix I just put out, I self-released, but I think everything prior to that was on CrunchPod.
Okay.
Yeah, because even the Captive 6, the last EP I did for that was on CrunchPod. So everything's been on CrunchPod.
Now, speaking of the Mega Mix, I really like the cover, the whole cassette idea. Has a real old school feel. Did you ever consider like maybe making a real limited edition actual cassette version of it?
Crossed my mind briefly, but the problem with that is I don't have a tape deck. I wouldn't know where to begin to find a working one. I guess maybe a thrift store or something.
Right.
So it's really difficult to get people to pick up any physical product right now.
Yeah.
It's something that most people don't have unless they have an older car or something. It just didn't seem like it was worth it.
Okay. It just seemed like a cool idea to me. Not necessarily something to listen to, but something to like sit on the shelf or something.
Maybe I could have done like 5 of them or something.
Right.
Giving them away or something.
Yeah. It seems that you've had some bad luck as far as touring this year, with the Manufacturer tour and the DJ tour being canceled. Are there any current plans for upcoming tours, or?
Well,
I know you got a couple of shows coming up.
Doing some shows as Captive 6 with Cervello, Electronico, and T2X on their tour. A couple of those dates we're going to do as Chaos and Terror, and then I'm going to take a break from Chaos and Terror as far as live shows for a bit. I have some stuff in the works for next year, but those are like one-offs and festivals, so and mainly outside the U.S. So I'm kind of burned out on trying to tour at this point after having stuff fall through so many times.
Yeah. But you stated that this gig may very well be the last headlining gig for Cat in the U.S. Does that include just specifically Cat or Chaos and Terror as well?
Probably Cat. I mean, I want to do like tonight. I want to do some older stuff that I've either not played in a long time or sometimes even before, and kind of put a rest to some of that stuff because I really want to start Chaos and Terror fresh with maybe some of the older material reworked, but not necessarily the same way we've been doing it for the last 5 or 6 years.
With the news that Caustic is no longer playing, and you seem to be seriously cutting back, do you see a trend emerging? Do you think there's a possibility that we may soon live in a world where there's no live electronic music?
That'll be one step.
I sure hope not. I mean, I understand the frustrations behind a lot of bands making that decision firsthand. It's rough out there right now, especially with lower attendances. People don't have the money they used to. They've got other things going on in their lives. They're taking priorities, and so I really hope it doesn't discourage too many bands. But I mean, it's really tough if you're not, say, like Combi Christ or B&B Nation or someone of that level to, not completely risk your ass on the road. Because I mean, it costs money to do this, even if you're getting paid. So.
And finally. You had mentioned previously that you're a fan of rap and you're open to working outside of the industrial genre. And as it happens, a few days ago you were contacted by a rapper out of upstate New York named Likewise about working together. If you do indeed decide to work with him, would it be something you do like as a one-off, or could you see like more of a long-term partnership happening there?
I'm interested in doing that. I'm interested in working outside of industrial music because I feel that's the deal I've done. And so I was intrigued when I got contacted by him, so I really want to check out his stuff and see where we can go with that. Definitely open to working with people outside of the main genre that I've written.